Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com, your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
Well, you heard the voice guy. He said like and follow and subscribe, and we would certainly appreciate that. With Jacob Warren, I'm Dave Hooker. It is a Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. So if you like the Vol, subscribe and like on YouTube, and more content will be coming your way. We also visit with Cooper Mays. He's fantastic. And Chris Landry of Landry Football. He's been a scout for Nick Saban. He's been an assistant coach for Bill Belichick, so he knows his stuff. And this guy, Jacob Warren, the best tight end in the country. It's not even close. Like Toro, count on it. That's Jacob Warren. Jacob, how are you, sir?
I am fantastic. Happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you here. So, understandably, a little bit of a break. We had July the 4th come around, so just hold up your hands and make sure you got all your fingers.
I got them. No Jason Pierre-Paul here.
No Penguin. No Michael Keaton Penguin.
Right.
From Danny DeVito. That would be bad. But it was a holiday. I hope you got to spend it with your family. It's one of my favorite holidays, without a doubt. And we did blow some stuff up, but we're despite some protests by the daughter, we're all safe and good. So nothing really has happened in college football since we last spoke. It's not like there's been conference realignment or anything, Jacob.
Right. Nothing crazy going on.
Go to Vassy Lawn and Garden. The financing is right there. 0% APR for up to 48 months and 3.99% for 60 months. They have fantastic products, whether you're talking about trimmers, mowers, commercial, industrial, whatever you need. It's Vassy Lawn and Garden. All right, Jacob. So conference realignment. I mean, it probably broke like one day after you and I talked. And it's just funny how, with all the reporters out there, to me, that there's really not breaking news anymore. It's kind of like you hear it's about to come out. And then the two times in the past 2 years with Texas, Oklahoma, and now USC, UCLA, it's like I just got caught smack dab hit in the face. I had no idea what was going on. What was your take?
I mean, that's how I am too. I'm somewhat oblivious to a lot of stuff that is going on just because I feel like it doesn't really matter to me, at least. You know what I mean? So I'll see something, I'll be like, wow, when did that start? Obviously, it'd been in the works for a while, and they've been thinking about it, and it finally, like you said, just kind of hit you. And I don't know, stuff like that. It's interesting. It's cool. I think it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see where it goes and what develops, and oh man, how they're going to organize everything. And I guess we'll find out eventually.
Well, we were joking before. The most downloaded podcast on offthehooksports.com is when we first started talking about this, and you said that you have to play Alabama. So any other addendums to that, or is that the key, that has to be an annual rivalry? That's pretty much it.
That's got to be, yeah. I mean, obviously people are talking about UT versus UT. How about playing Texas? And that'll be interesting, obviously, once that starts. And I'm sure there'll be more rivalries to come and more things that develop. But, it'll be – I don't know. It'll be weird.
I want to ask you, because it's not that long ago, you were a 17-year-old prospect, okay?
Right.
So let's say, because I always think of recruiting because I believe it's the lifeblood of every program. So let's say you're thinking about going to Tennessee, okay? Just forget about the family ties. You're just thinking about Tennessee. And then suddenly Tennessee signs with the Pac-12, and you're going to have to hop on a plane for 4 to 5 hours 5 times a year.
Every week. Right.
That does nothing for me if I'm a USC or UCLA recruit. As a matter of fact, I'm rethinking things. Am I crazy to say that?
I don't think you're crazy. I don't know. I've flown to the West Coast 3 times, and it's not a very fun flight, right? I don't know. I'm happy we don't have to deal with it. We're kind of right in the middle of everybody in our conference, right, as it is right now. You know, we can go up to Kentucky, up to Missouri, go down to Georgia, Alabama, but nothing's ever like just a crazy flight. It's always less than 2 hours and very manageable. So I can't imagine having to fly across the country back-to-back weeks. They might do it where they try to do it where they never have to fly back-to-back weeks. 1 week they're at home, 1 week they're at the other school, the other week they're away, whatever, however they end up doing it. But no, I would not like that. I don't think.
On it would not like that. Is Jacob's the nicest person ever. That's a very nice way of saying that would be
Nice
terrible.
way to put it. Yeah.
Okay, okay. What about being at Rutgers for a noon kickoff, and that's 9:00 your body clock time?
Right. And then that brings on a whole nother thing. Like, I don't know. You have to perform after being on those flights, and it's not like you're getting the best rest of your life. You get to the hotel and you kind of just try to go to sleep, but after flying 5 hours, 4 hours, however long it is, and then it's a whole thing. Though people have to adjust to it, and that'll be how it is. But
well, it's also, somebody brought up a term that I hadn't heard, and it was regional loyalty, which I hadn't heard that before. It's just somebody that deals with a lot of these types of movements and realignment. And to me, there's something to be said for that. I mean, I can see Texas, Oklahoma kind of being in the South, so to speak, but the USC, UCLA, it just seems weird, and it hasn't changed in the time that I've had to think about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think it's just because there's not different levels. I mean, there's different levels of ball played, but there's also different atmospheres and different feelings towards football in the South versus in the Midwest versus out West or in the Northeast. Each region truly has a different appreciation and, I guess, level of care. Like, a lot of people out West don't care about football, but a lot of people in the South really care about football. And so how can you mix those two, like, cultures, really, or two environments? And it'll be off. I think that maybe it'll be good for them. Maybe they'll come and they'll get a taste of it, and they'll be like, "Oh, wow, this is great. This is how, let's start appreciating the game more." But yeah, no, definitely different.
I mean, you guys have had more people show up for an orange and white game than they had show up for the Rams Super Bowl winning celebration parade. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, it is an institutional thing. I don't know how you really overcome that. Is there any one team that maybe you didn't get to play during your career, not on the schedule this year, that you would be like, hey, that'd be pretty cool to play there or play them in a rivalry? As a player, do you ever think about that?
I mean, not particularly. I am excited to go to LSU. I never got a chance to go down to LSU on a visit or anything. Got recruited a little bit, but never made the trip, and I've heard a lot about it, and I'm excited to go down and experience it. Obviously, it's going to be just another game, but I think it'd be similar to, like, someone wanting to play in Neyland. I mean, they're notorious for, a big crowd and a rowdy stadium. So I'm excited to go down there. I think it's a night game too, so it should be rocking.
Well, I can promise you this: it's early in the season. It's going to be hotter than 5 darnets. So
Sure.
go ahead and tell you to get hydrated.
I'll start drinking water now.
Yeah, just start going for it. So yeah, I just wondered, do you ever think, hey, I wouldn't mind playing in the Rose Bowl, or wouldn't mind playing at Notre Dame? Does that, even when you're 17? I know Pat Summitt used to always say that she would do a return game. Like, if you were from Chicago, she would play somebody like DePaul in Chicago. Is that something you even think about, future schedules, when you're a prospect?
I mean, no, not really, honestly. For me, at least. I think I've never been, I don't know, I'm a fan of the game, like, in the game itself, but not the biggest. I don't really concern myself too much with, like, stuff like that. So I think for me personally, never really dealt with it or never really thought about it, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that, would love to go as a just fan of the game and a fan of whatever stadium, like you said, the Rose Bowl. Like, it would be cool to go play there, but, like, to me, it doesn't matter as much, I guess.
Okay, so I put my 2 cents in, but I have no pull. Okay, but I put my 2 cents in that you should be a representative for Tennessee at SEC Media Days, which is 2 weeks. Yeah, so, I mean, I have. They don't ask me,
Right.
Tom Sakoviak doesn't call me and say, "Hey,
Right.
I was just curious what you thought, Dave."
Who do you
But
want there? Well,
who do you really need? Who do you need a quote from?
mhm.
I got Jacob covered. Bring somebody else. No, but I think you would be a great representation. Have you guys heard yet? Is that something? I know we talked about it. Have you guys heard?
I still don't know. I don't. The people might be chosen, and they just have told those people, and what I mean, they're moved on, whatever. So ain't nobody told me. So we'll
Okay.
see.
I haven't seen a list yet, so I don't think
Right.
it has been decided. So I do know that you texted out, or somebody with the UT athletic department texted out a picture of you in the weight room. Can you just kind of talk about what you guys go through in terms of the cycle? Because when I feel SEC media days from my perspective, I feel like football season's practically here. So you guys have a little bit longer, but we're getting to that physical time of year.
Yeah. Um, no, it's definitely getting to the point where you're starting to think about fall camp. And obviously, once fall camp hits, it's a quick turnaround to the season. And I think just we got about 3 weeks. I don't know exactly how many days we have, but we have a few more weeks of actual conditioning and training where you're starting to think about, all right, I'm gonna try to push. I got to push hard right now because I know in 4 weeks, right, whenever camp starts, like we're going to be out in this heat. Like we're running in the heat right now, but when we're doing like in 4 weeks, we'll be in the heat with pads and a helmet, running plays, high stressful situations, things like that. Um, so kind of just getting your mind right, starting to visualize all the things that are going to take place. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Tight end, I think, is one of the coolest positions because you get to do a little bit of both. You get to block and go out for passes. Is
Right.
there one aspect of your game that improves the most during these summer drills? I mean, I would naturally think the pass route running, but your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I mean, that's the easiest thing to work on, I guess, like the most convenient thing. You can do it anywhere. I can do it in my yard. I can do it at, some rec field, wherever. So I think that's one area that we've been trying to take steps is just feeling more comfortable in choice routes, option routes, whether it's footwork at the top or, coming off the line of scrimmage, not false stepping, using your drive foot, using your plant foot, gather steps, things like that, all the details, just to be more crisp and just to work on timing, honestly. And that's a big deal for us right now as tight ends as we're moving through the summer is, you know, incorporating these lifts that we're doing, doing a lot of single leg exercises and um, things to kind of build up those leg muscles to be able to make plants, make hard cuts, to be able to get in and out of breaks, and then go into the field and actually practicing it with the footwork and the technique that we're taught to do. So yeah, I'd say that's the biggest thing right now. Obviously, once you get in fall camp with the pads, the physicality, and everything, you'll be able to get a better feel for your hands, for blocking, for your feet, footwork, pass pro, all that stuff. But right now, when no pads allowed, no balls out there on the field, it's easy to just kind of go and drill these footwork drills in.
Is there any one piece of your technique that you're proud of the work you've done on that's made the biggest improvement in this past off season?
I think I've done a lot better job of. I don't know. It might sound like I'm speaking, a different language, but a lot better job of just weight transfer throughout my route. So whenever I won't say I'm a really big guy. I'm a big guy, right? 6'6", right? There's always someone bigger, right? Always a bigger fish.
Right.
But 6'6", like
Jay-Z was a
255,
little guy,
right?
but
Exactly, right. Like 255, that's a lot. That's a lot moving, right? And so just learning how to, drop my hips, bend my ankles, bend my knees, use my arms, use my shoulders to actually drop my weight and get myself out of my breaks, which is something that I just wasn't very good at last year or just didn't pay a lot of attention to and didn't really try to focus on. But now, when you see us running those, where we're running and then we come straight back to the quarterback or we're making lateral cuts left and right, just being able to, like I said, the little guys like Jalen Hyatt, Jimmy Callaway, Jimmy Holiday, all of them, they don't weigh much, right? So they can just kind of put their foot in the ground and run the other way. For me, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to slow down. It takes a lot to get going. So I'd say I made big strides in that area this offseason, strengthening and also just learning how to do it.
So big strides in smaller steps, I would imagine. Is it a lot? Is it a lot about gathering and making sure you're? Is that kind
Yeah,
of
I
what you're
mean,
talking about?
yeah, there's a system. Obviously, you never want to get out of your base, right? Having your feet underneath yourself at all times, or else you'll end up slipping out or falling or twisting something, right? So, yeah, transitioning from a long stride, you're striding to get to your depth, and then learning how to essentially coordinate your feet to time up where you can take, you're gathering yourself, and you're actually slowing yourself down, and then you're actually putting the foot in the ground to go a different direction. So just doing it efficiently, doing it safely, and doing it quickly, I guess.
Yeah, I don't use the term best game. Again, visiting with Jacob Warren, brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. I don't use the term best game because I know you guys grade, especially at tight end. Maybe you were more of a blocking
Yeah,
factor than a pass receiving factor.
for sure.
But I'm curious, when you look back last year, what was your highest grade at the end of a game that you look back on?
Ooh, I don't remember exactly what game I graded out the highest, but naturally, as the season goes on, you're gonna start grading better and better and better, just because
Okay.
you've seen more, right? You getting more experience. Bowling Green, obviously, first game of the year. There's gonna be a lot of mistakes that you don't even really might not know you're making. Go back to the film, and you can correct it, and you kind of just get a feel for how everybody plays together. So I might not make the same mistake twice, right? Obviously, statistics wise, I think Pittsburgh was a big game for me. It had the most catches, had the most yards in like my career as a career day. Um, so that was big. That was big for me. Just I don't know. I like publicity doesn't matter all the time, but that was a big game just to kind of get your name out there and be like, yeah, okay, people recognize me as a receiving threat and all this other things, all this other stuff. So yeah,
It's some affirmation, all that work you did, I would think.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's great. It's good to see it, but also kind of understanding that like it's not as good as you think it is, and nothing's ever as good as you think, and nothing's ever really as bad as you think. So, all these people saying whatever whatever they do about the game, it's all right. How can I go back out and do it again, or instead of having 60 yards, have 80 yards, have 100 yards, like starting to get to that point where I can truly progress and get better and do it every week, I think is the biggest thing right now.
I want to ask Jacob what he would have thought of 17-year-old Jacob Warren if he were to go back and look at that tape compared to where he is now. First 30 seconds brought to you by Vassy. I got you too, Jacob. Brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden.
To own the more that owns every job, then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
What would Jacob Warren, the preseason All-SEC tight end, at least I'm voting for you.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You're going to have one first team vote on there, and you're going to be like, oh, that's Dave. And so,
and my mom.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do they give her a vote? I'm actually going to be in Atlanta, but if I could give her a vote, I would give her a vote.
Yeah.
So you're going to have one. So, but yeah, if you went back and looked at your 17-year-old tape when you were in high school, how many things would pop out to you like, oh my goodness gracious, I was so undisciplined, or how many things pop out?
No. Okay. So I told my dad this because my dad understands how it is, right? Coming to college. I think I told him this was probably a couple months after I had gotten to school. I was still 17, right? It was probably March, April, whatever of 2018. And I told him, I was like, dude, if I knew half the information or half the stuff that I learned in that first 3 months of me being at college, if I knew that 6 months prior, right, when I'm still in my last season of high school, like I would have changed the game. Like literally would have been a 5-star, would have scored so many more touchdowns, would have, had so many more yards, would have known exactly how to block and all these other things. And obviously there's a reason that I didn't. Like, you just learn so much whenever you're in college. But looking back at it, I just like that play. I feel like I was not a different player then, but I played the game a lot differently. I played the game a lot, not more scared, and not more timid, but just a lot less confident. I wasn't as big, so I couldn't really move people as well as I can now. But I love watching it and just seeing like all the things I was able to do in the field, right? Catching balls and making people miss. Trying to throw juke moves and stuff. Like 255-pound me is not going to try to spin anybody. Like obviously I'm working on it, but I was able to do a lot of things when I was young and limber. But I don't know, man. It's cool. It would be. I thought about this the other day too. Just thinking about myself now as like one of the leaders of the tight end group. Imagining if 17-year-old me comes into the locker room and comes to the team right now, and just how I would, how I would act, and I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely different. I've come a long way and made a lot of strides, and I'm happy with where I am. But obviously, want to keep going. But it's cool to look back and just see, I ESPN top 10 catch, and then the week before that had one that could have been on ESPN top 10, and made the state championship, and made a comeback and won a ring, and all the cool things that we were able to do. And it's cool to look back, but definitely in a different place now.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Well, as always, Jake, we appreciate the time. Again, I'm going to take a picture when I fill out my ballot. I usually forget to fill out my ballot because I'm so busy that I just forget. I think I've been to 20 SEC media days and I voted like twice. But for you and Cooper, I know I'm just busy. So for
Right.
you and Cooper, I'm going out of my way, and you're both getting my first team votes because I'm laying all journalistic integrity at the side, and you're my guys.
Perfect. I'd appreciate it.
For Jacob Warren, I'm Dave Hooker. You can follow him on Twitter at jwarren808. You're about to see him all over the football field this fall. We're so close. It's getting exciting. This fall report is brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Go to vassy.com to learn more. A presentation of Off the Hook Sports.